Fresh off a big win over the rival Washington Huskies in Seattle, Oregon now turns its attention to the Washington State Cougars as they welcome them to Eugene for a matchup Saturday night at Autzen Stadium. And there's a lot on the line for the Ducks here. Washington State coming into this matchup at 5-4 overall, 4-2 in the Pac-12, whereas you have the Ducks at 8-1, 5-1 in the Pac-12. Biggest storyline for the Ducks heading into this game: if you win this game, then you secure a spot in the Pac-12 title game against the winner of the Pac-12 South. But some other things need to happen in order for that to become the reality, and that is an Oregon State loss to Stanford. That happens, that all shakes out, and then the Ducks will find themselves in the Pac-12 title game with some big matchups still remaining even after Washington State. You talk about rivalry matchup with Oregon State and then traveling on the road to Salt Lake City to face the Utes. But let's talk about this Washington State squad because they come in off of a bye week after having won 4 straight Pac-12 games, and that is not easy to do, no matter who you're playing. With their most recent win being a 34-21 win over the Arizona State Sun Devils in Tempe. Arizona State's had a really good running attack all year, so that says a lot about the Washington State defense and how Jake Dickert has had them playing at a high level to get these recent wins in conference. And then Jaden DeLora, man, that guy has been absolutely slinging the rock over this past stretch for the Cougs. And those past 4 straight Pac-12 wins, Jaden DeLora has thrown for 1,392 yards in those games, for 11 touchdowns against 4 interceptions. So he hasn't been perfect taking care of the ball. So maybe the Oregon defense can take advantage of that, get some pressure on what is still a young quarterback, just in his second season now. Then the Oregon defense that has been elevating that pass rush for the past couple weeks now. And you look at Jordan Happel getting that big pick against the Huskies last week, even though he was just using the club. So, this isn't a matchup that Oregon can take lightly, and they're not. They're always, every week we talk to the coaches and the players, and they're always focused on that 1-0 mentality, just focusing on the game ahead of them. When Washington, their coaches and players, we're talking all sorts of stuff. All that noise, all that outside noise before the game. Mario Cristobal literally said, this is going to be the most boring press conference. I know it's a rivalry game, but you're not going to get anything like the juicy headline out of me. So that's what they did. They focused on the task at hand, and they got the win. And now you get another really tough game against Washington State at home, 7:30 p.m. kickoff at Autzen. And you talk about the whole Pac-12 After Dark. I don't know if it's a mantra or I don't even know what to call it. It's just kind of like a stereotype or something that you associate with the Pac-12, just those crazy games coming late at night. You talk about the East Coast not being able to watch some of these games because they kick off so late. And I feel like Washington State embodies the Pac-12 After Dark, the whole concept of that. You never know what Oregon's going to get with Washington State. Washington State's definitely had Oregon's number, I feel like, in recent years, that they were able to get a win on the road in the Palouse. Last year, the Ducks were over Washington State, but it's a new year, and a bunch of different things can happen. And credit to this Washington State team for getting to the point to be in contention for the Pac-12 North. You talk about Nick Rolovich getting fired and all the staffers that exited after he got fired. And that's just so much is going on aside from the on-field product. It takes a lot, and it says a lot about Jake Dickert and this team to get to this point. But let's shift to the Oregon side of things and some of the updates that we've gotten following that win over Washington. The biggest one's definitely Ryan Walk's injury. He exited late in that game against the Huskies, and it looks like he's going to be out multiple weeks. Mario Cristobal telling reporters on Monday that his injury is going to take 3 to 4 weeks to heal, but luckily it wasn't as bad as they originally thought it was going to be. It wasn't. He avoided a season-ending injury, so that's great, especially given the versatility and the depth that the Ducks have along the offensive line. And then with that, Jackson Powers-Johnson is coming back. Cristobal is saying that he's ready to roll, having missed the last 2 games against both Colorado and Washington after he suffered that ankle injury against UCLA on the road in Pasadena a couple weeks ago. But now for the negative, Steve Stevens, it looks like he's going to miss some time. We don't know how much time right now. Cristobal was saying after that Colorado game that he suffered a soft tissue injury, and then last week he was going to be reevaluated and he had a chance to play. Ultimately, we saw him not play, and Jordan Happel slid in Tim DeRuyter talking about how he was really pleased with Happel's performance and how he's going to play a big role for this defense as they play some of these bigger games going down the line here. So that's kind of what we're hearing as far as the injuries go. And then just some other big names to keep an eye on for the Ducks in this matchup. Travis Dyer, looking at him, he's having an awesome game. Seemingly absolutely ran the ball down Washington's throat at will. Over 200 yards on almost 30 carries. Ducks ran for over 300 yards as a team. Byron Cardwell didn't have the best day statistically, the true freshman, but you look at 16 carries, and I think that says a lot about the confidence that the Ducks coaching staff has in Cardwell. So he's pretty, he's solidified his role as the number 2 back right now. I was kind of surprised that we didn't see any of Seven McGee last week after seeing him, running around on the sideline, getting warmed up, at various points throughout that game. He's just a guy you got to get on the field, but obviously the results speak for themselves. So it's not like they're at a tremendous loss with the guys that they're playing right now, but I'd love to see McGee get a little bit more involved. And then Devin Williams, another touchdown. He's building a really good connection with quarterback Anthony Brown. He's his go-to option now. And you want to have a guy that you can go to, especially with some big games going down the stretch here. You look at Washington State, you look at the rivalry matchup against Oregon State not the following week. Then they go to Utah to face the Utes in Salt Lake City, and then they wrap up the regular season welcoming the Beavers to Autzen Stadium. So Ducks get a huge win over Washington. Then things don't get any easier this week against the Washington State Cougars. So that's kind of what I wanted to say about that game. But there's a lot going on here in Eugene with Oregon athletics. You look at the men and women basketball teams starting their seasons, their regular seasons today. Men tipping off against Texas Southern, and then the women get the later tip off against Idaho State at home. Both those teams really loaded, dealing with some injuries. You look at N'Faly Dante for the men, and then India Rogers and Tahina Paupau for the women's team. So you got to make sure that you're following us on all our social media platforms. You can follow me on Twitter there on the name on your screen at mtorresports. Also subscribe to the channel here, Oregon Football Max Torres, trying to get some more support there, get more videos coming out. And you can also subscribe to our free newsletter. If you go on over to my Twitter profile, you can sign up for that for free, get the latest Oregon Ducks news sent to your inbox every morning so you don't miss out on the latest Oregon Ducks news. But that's all I have for this one. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.